This was in fact my screen time last week, and this is a sack of books I have to get through before I move out, which is in about just under 2 months from now, like a month and a half. I moved to the floor so you could just see just how tall this stack of books is next to me. I have approximately 25 books in this pile, and I still have some books on hold from the library, which I still need to pick up. And I have around maybe 50 days before I move out, which means around 2 days per book. But as you may or may not have guessed from my living situation, I'm also a full-time student in university, and by the time people join, I will be next in finals. So I'm not going to while I have this right now. So please gather. My short screen time, and I decided to have to read my screen time this week. Yes, we better read my screen time. Yay! I've picked you back up off the floor. You're welcome. I feel like a beautiful girl like you, maybe you're also a man, I feel like a beautiful person like you doesn't deserve to sit on the floor. Anyways, to try and attempt to make the most out of my time, I have replaced one clock app with another clock app. And this new clock app is in fact an actual clock app. I'm supposed to just be able to time my activities every week, and then at the end of the week it'll give me like an average. So this is me attempting to start that right now. But I reorganized my shelf so that I could have, I don't know, a nice environment to start this challenge, and it takes up almost the whole shelf space. Welcome to my bed, my first reading spot location. I have about an hour before I have to start getting ready for my next class, so I figured this is the best time to start. My current read is We All Looked Up by Tommy Wallich, and I'm currently on page 86. So I will update you guys in an hour from right now. First 45 minutes logged. Yay! It actually went really well. I read exactly 50 pages, so I'm on page 135, 136 now. I do have to get to class though, but hopes and prayers, if it's a boring class, I can find a seat at the back and continue reading in class. Hello friends, I'm back from class. I did unfortunately not have time to read during class, but I got some work done meanwhile, and I had supper, and it's only 5:40, so that means I have the whole rest of the evening to basically just read the whole time. But first, before we start that, let me transform into my true form. I even have the bunny slippers on, so you know it's getting serious. We are about to spend literally the rest of the night in bed. So literally so excited for this. And without further ado, let me actually just get right into it. I'm just about done for the night. It's like 10:30 p.m. So far for the first day of this challenge, not half bad, honestly. I read just about over 3 hours, 235 pages. So not bad. I'm almost done the book. I think I have like 50-ish pages left, which I'll get to first thing tomorrow morning. And yeah, day 1 done. I feel amazing. Very tired. Anyways, good night. Hello, and welcome to day 2 of the reading challenge. I woke up a little bit earlier this morning and was able to finish the last 50 pages of this book. So now let's talk about it. I ended up rating this book 2 stars on Goodreads. If I could, I maybe would have given it a 2.5. The book in general, it follows the story of these students in high school who are basically facing the end of the world as this meteor is coming towards the earth. And they have 2 months together, and each character very much a stereotypical high school character, and I think it's meant to be that way, honestly. We have the slacker, you have the perfect A student, you have kind of the cast out, and they're all kind of just trying to find their way through society, and they can end up finding a community within each other, which and kind of form this unlikely friendship together. Overall, the book is really sweet. It's definitely a good reminder to think about how would you want to live your life if you knew there were only 2 months left to it. And so it was definitely a good thing to think about. But I will say, once again, very cliche, even the writing style, occasionally there were times where I did cringe a little bit, but it was definitely an entertaining story. Like, I was definitely coming back to it, and I was very, I wouldn't say I was like dreading reading it. I was very eager to read it. And it was a good break from some of the other things that I've been reading. I've been reading a lot of heavier, longer, mm, a little bit older books with a little bit older language that have been really tough. And so this was a really good, like, breath of fresh air, something really light to start off this challenge, which was really nice. I will say, though, a fun fact, this author is also a songwriter, and he has an album that goes with the book. And the album, actually, I would rate it 5 stars. The music style was very much almost like an R&B folk type style. I feel like it went along really well with the book. And I will admit, I have been listening to that album unironically as I've been reading and throughout my day, and it's been super fun. So that is a cool fact about this book if you also want to check out the album by the same author. But yeah, great start to this challenge. I feel very accomplished. That was kind of like the boost I needed to remind myself that it is possible to do this challenge. And I'm excited for the next book that is awaiting us. It's only been a day, and my bookshelf is already in chaos. But that being said, I think I have decided on my next book. My choices were between Homes and Damnations. I believe Homes is about a Syrian refugee during the Syrian civil war, and Damnations is, I believe, about an aid worker in Somalia and about her like experiences with that. Both of them are approximately the same length. They're both either just under or just over 200 pages. And they have kind of, I want to say, kind of similar themes. Definitely a very different turn from the last book that we read. Honestly, I might just have to flip a coin for this one. I don't have a quarter, but I have a nickel. I'm going to say heads for Homes and tails for Damnations. Okay, let's see if I can. Tails. Okay, so that means we're reading Damnations next. Hey. Hey. Um, it is in fact the next week. It's been 7 days. And I, I'm back. I'm not dead, even though it may have seemed like it because I disappeared for quite a little while. Oh, okay. No, bad, actually. So let's just discuss it a little bit more. Basically, I did in fact forget to record the rest of the week. And to add on to that, I did also in fact forget to time my reading. We're going to do the best that we can with the stats that we have. So it's been exactly 7 days since this challenge has started. Over the 7 days, I have recorded a time of 8 hours and 42 minutes reading over the span of 4 days. That was the first 4 days that I recorded, and then did not record the last 3 days that I read. I read a total of 846 pages spanning across four different books, three of which I finished and one of which I am currently in the process of. The books which I read are We All Looked Up by Tommy Wallach, Hey, Good Luck Out There by Georgia Taves, Damnations by Samantha Nutt, and currently reading The Woman in the Dunes by Kobo Abe. So that's my reading stats. So the challenge was a little bit of a fail. Not only did I forget to record my times, I also definitely, even if I had recorded all the times, would not have amounted to 6 hours a day of reading. But although the challenge has failed, in other ways, it was a success because, in full honesty, this challenge kind of had two parts to it. On one hand side, I was trying to increase my reading time, but on the other hand side, in order to do that, I was also at the same time trying to minimize my screen time, which I did in fact do. My average daily screen time for the last week has gone from 6.5 hours to around 3.5, just under 3.5 hours. And although not all the time that I spent off screens was spent reading, it has helped me to kind of think about how I could be spending my time in ways other than doom scrolling on my phone. So during the week, when I found myself itching to scroll on various social media apps, I would try and fill that time with other things, not just reading. I drew and I painted, I made music, I hung out with friends, I focused on self care and going on walks, spending time outdoors, trying new activities, meeting new friends, staying active. And although I didn't reach my goal of reading my exact screen time, I did, in a way, reach a goal of replacing my screen time with a different activity. And I honestly think that's a win. It's a pretty corny saying about it's not about the destination, but about the journey. But that is truly how I feel about this whole process. I've learned a lot. I've learned that there's always time to read and that I reach for my phone much more than I think I do. And that there's way more situations in my life where there's always an alternative to it. For example, one thing that I started doing because of this challenge is leaving my phone in my room when I go to eat meals in the dining hall, and instead bringing a book or sitting with new people and chatting. And I think that was one of the biggest takeaways for me. Also, building healthy routines. Instead of reaching for my phone first thing in the morning or last thing that I do before bed, I would read a book or I would do a Sudoku puzzle or draw or sketch or journal, just anything other than sitting there mindlessly scrolling. And honestly, the whole challenge in and of itself has really made me reflect on the usage of time. I've done some quick math, and even if you spend about 3.5 hours a day on your phone, that amounts to 24 hours within 7 days, which means that you're losing a day a week, which means you're losing 4 days a month. And by the end of 12 months, you have lost almost a whole month of your year, making your year 11 months instead of 12 months. Now that I'm first year university, taking advantage of my life, and I'm really in control of how I build it and the person that I want to be, it's made me think a lot more and reflect on how I want to be spending my time, how I want to be building myself as a person, and being more mindful about how I spend the time which I have. Although I am really happy with the results in terms of lowering my screen time, I'm still nowhere near perfect. 3.5 hours, although is a lot better than the 6.5 hours from the week before, is still nowhere near where I would want to be. And some days are better than others. Some days I feel really motivated and I am able to go a full day without checking my phone. And other days I feel tired and unmotivated, and really all I want to do is rot in my bed. And that's kind of just the way that it is. It's definitely not an easy process, and just 1 week of it isn't going to fully change my life around. But seeing the results and knowing that I can do this really has given me the confidence to continue on and push myself, to spend my time more wisely, and continue thinking about who I want to be and what I could be doing instead. Although it's easy to also be discouraged by the results, knowing that I failed my initial mission, I choose to look at the brighter sides of it and to focus on what I have achieved rather than what I haven't. And so I know this challenge has really, really changed my perception of my screen time and my time in general. And in a similar way, I hope this inspires you and we can all fight against screen times together. Anyways, this has been super corny. I literally sound like my mom and the TED Talks that she sends me, but I still hope that this video was somewhat inspirational, somewhat helpful, and maybe it'll inspire some of you guys to read or just to spend your time in other ways. Anyways, thanks so much for watching my YouTube video. Make sure to smash that like and subscribe button, and I will see you in the next one.